Thanks for joining us for episode 3 of Candid Conversations. Michael here with,
Bill.
there you have it. Here again, excited to let you know an update about what we've been working on, giving you kind of a look behind the scenes of like, oh, okay, we're small business owners. It's not always fun. It's not always easy, which hopefully you know that by now. But I also think it's a really great chance to get to know us more and then hopefully draw you in to follow our own business journeys. And, Bill's got a whole business of his own. We have that in the show notes. If you didn't know, you can catch back up on our previous 2 episodes. Check out his podcast, both with his business and the one when he was on mine. But we've got some good stuff out there. But
We're
let's
just
start
mooching
it.
off of each other.
Basically, yeah. What can you give? What can I give? Okay, we'll
Right.
just talk our minds away to death, basically. But Bill, what is something fun, weird, adventurous you did this past week?
This past week, well, fun, adventurous. I mean, honestly, I'd probably say it's got my refund back because I shared with you some things like I'm going to put this towards this project so that way I can take care of the particular expenses for the business, and I think that's actually probably the fun that I had because I'm really excited to use that income to roll out some additional features, for this business.
Nice. I think for myself, I started doing some songwriting again, playing the piano. It's like what I ideally, if I had a ton more time, which would be like go to my piano, which is keyboard right next to me. Basically, I walk past it to get to this studio in my room, but like have songwriting either in the morning or in the evening. But we have a lot of like renters, roommates. I get up really early, so I'm like 7 a.m. playing. Perfect. I'm like, no, people are still sleeping. Like, you cannot be doing that. But I was coming up with like a tune for the other YouTube show that I'm about to start with other business owners like Bill who are in the small business community of like, cool, I think I've got a song. The not so fun part was I was trying to put it in GarageBand to like make it a track and it just did not sound good. So I was like, oh, that's frustrating. But it was very fun. I like coming up with the ideas. So that to me is like the fun creative side. And I need someone to help come into my
Right.
life who can
You could
do
take
the music
a
production.
you could do a little parody of like some sort of '90s hit song, like our Beatles. It's been a hard day's night, and you've been working like a dog, and turn that into a little jingle or something. Probably could find a
Yeah.
more modern song that everybody else would know, but I mean, I think that'd be something kind of cool.
Yep. Yep.
So
And Bill, what have you been working on since we last talked? I know it's kind of been progressing, so it's fun. Like you're
yeah,
actually getting stuff done. I feel like
yeah,
once it comes to me, I'm gonna be like, you guys are disappointed. So take it
yeah.
away, Bill.
Well, it's a challenge because I'm working 40 to 48 hours a week, and then we're obviously doing notes or putting up notes and stuff for other podcasts we're doing together. So between that, like I mentioned in our last video together, is that I've been working on making a course for Romans, and just the other day, I finally finished the notes. Probably,
Yeah.
yeah, it is because I mean there was a lot to do. Mostly just an outline. So I figured it's like I'm going to make this a little easier. Here's an outline for the students. For anybody who takes this course, they'll have it. And then within the recordings, I'll have the PowerPoint presentation as well as my own commentary on there as well. So that's been really exciting. That's where I'm at. As well, I guess this weekend because today's Thursday. I'm planning on recording the first 2 lessons of that course, and based on the projection, if I can continuously stick to it, at least 2 courses a week, I should have it done by the end of March. And then the learning platform that I'm planning on subscribing to or purchasing, whatever you want to call it, tomorrow, we'll be introducing that to the audience as well.
Awesome. And what briefly goes into preparing to record a video, such as you were saying? Because I don't think I've even asked that, but I think that's super interesting because it's a lot of work. You put a lot of groundwork into
Yeah.
writing the course, creating the outline, and then what are you going through in the video, or how do you prepare for that?
Well, for the videos, it's fairly easy because what I do is I usually I have what I've written up, and um, I guess the same structure as what I just mentioned. I'll have the outline, And like for the particular lessons, I'll copy and paste the bullet points or whatever the particular text is into a presentation slide, multiple, of course, depending on how many is needed for that lesson. And then I'll just continue. I'll through the slide. Okay, it's like, well, here's this commentary, and then okay, that's all I have. Let's go to the next one. So it's fairly easy for me to after I get those lesson notes done. It's fairly easy for me to go on to the next because it's just a matter of sharing my thoughts and having it. I put it on screen, obviously, so that way the student can easily see. And even if they do, because there's some stuff that I don't have notes on, there's some additional stuff that I'll have a thought I'll put into the presentation, but I'm not going to have in the notes. So they can clearly see that. Fast forward, pause, go back, rewind, and write these things down. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's fairly easy as far as prep work. Just a matter of writing the outline and then record.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that because I think that is fun to know of like what goes into a course. And because I know courses now are very popular and people may be thinking about doing that. I see so many ads for like get an app and have your own courses within
Yeah.
this app and get this. And we're like, it sounds exciting and fun, but Michael, hold up because you can't be starting something new without getting, what I am working on. And I guess this week was just this past week, a lot of interviews, preparing for next week's interviews of writing the questions because I get to people a week before. I say in the like at least a week before, and usually it's like exactly 1 week, and I'm like, who's coming up next week? Okay, I've got two different interview questions to prep, and that involves like getting their website, social media up. I've usually already followed them on social, so it's like I'm familiar with their account, which has been really helpful. So I can,
Right.
even as I'm writing, like, oh, I saw this, like, let's interweave that. But I try to, like, this past week, I got all of them for next week done by Tuesday, which was good because I knew I was like, Wednesday, I'm not going to be in a good mood. Thursday, I'm not going to be in a good mood to be like writing questions because they are fun to do. And once I start it, I enjoy it. But the lead up to like sit down, bring everything up is not
Oh
the
yeah.
the easiest to do of like sit
Looking
down
forward
and
to
get
it's
it
the
done.
hardest part. Yeah. So how long does it take you to usually like once you get started? How long does it take you to put all those notes together?
So what I've started to do as I've had more and more interviews, I find someone who's in a similar business as them, and I
Ah,
find
copy
that
paste.
framework make it copy paste into a new one, and then I delete all of the specific questions, and
Right.
then because there's especially now as I've kind of like been doing this new round of people, there's some questions that I always want to know of like when did you start this business? What was the background happening? What was going on? When did you actually decide to make it happen? Like all of those, everyone's going to have a different answer.
Right.
So it's gotten a lot faster until I'll get one like that I've never had before of like a sports team is coming up. And I was like, I'm excited. A club sports team that's like professional level. Like, but what does that even look like as a business? How do I create questions? So when it's something I haven't done, then it takes maybe an extra 20 minutes. But in general, I should be able to like 15, 20 minutes. So I've gotten better at it, but I'm also always like trying to figure out like what's efficient, but still keeps it like a genuine
Right.
conversation where there are differences because hopefully people will keep listening. But I never know, like, do they get tired of hearing like an up and a down in someone's life? Where most of the time now, if the person's chatty, we don't even get to that, or like they've already mentioned that, so it seems annoying to be like, can you share? Like you already shared
Right.
20 minutes ago all these hardships. Let's bring it up again before we close
Right.
to hear like what else you're going through. But
Can you tell me about that struggle again? That was the highlight.
so I'm getting better at like skipping and not feeling bad about skipping things where old me would have been like, it's on the list, let's ask this. And I'm like, no, Michael, we can skip that. Like they don't have to be an hour now. They can be at least, well, I want them to be like 50 minutes because I think we
Right.
need at least 50, but it's like learning throughout that. But from here, what are you working on in this next upcoming week ahead of you?
Well, besides the courses, I think that's it. Like because I was thinking about because starting the recording of the lessons, that's kind of the priority thing. We've got our own the podcast we're doing together, so obviously prepping for that. But outside of that, I mean, I was thinking about this today is like trying to decide is like, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to work on after I get this course done? Because really the hard part's done. I've gotten the writing done. I've gotten the outline. There's a few things in there I still want to put a work on, such as a little vocabulary, compare the word to the definition kind of worksheet. But I'm pretty much getting to a spot where I'm already trying to figure out, what's next on the list. So I mean that's pretty much what I have planned to work on.
Nice. Is there a
Yeah.
lot of planning for like how you launch it or like leading up to the launch of what that looks like, or what has been your experience with that? Because I mentioned last time I did not do a good job with my thing, and so I'm always like, oh, I wonder what other people are thinking. Like as you're working on it now, because that is really hard. Like you're putting a ton of work in it, but then also like once you launch it or as you launch it, there's usually has to be something like, hey guys, pay attention. I want you to buy this when it comes out.
Yeah, and I've been kind of playing around with that because I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, but because I've got the outline done, what I thought about doing is from this week on until the launch is kind of give a spoiler like for an example, the course itself is over the book of Romans. The first lesson is really the outline of Romans, the summarization of what it's about, and what more specifically, um, the importance of the gospel. So, with that, what I thought about doing is just basically throwing up a thumbnail on Facebook, social media, with the title of the lesson, and then lesson one, and maybe even the date of when it's projected to be released. Just to kind of pretty much get the person's ears twitching, and gimme, 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 what do you got there? Stop teasing me, kind of thing. So just to kind of get them excited a little bit as far as, okay, now that it's out. But um, I mean, as far as leading up to that, what to getting the audience, I'm personally still playing with it. We got a small team, so um, it's just kind of working with what I got. But I think ultimately I'm just going to try to give some little pieces of candy uh, until they're ready to have the whole bowl.
Yep. And
So
at least in America, we love our sugar and
yeah,
everything.
yep,
Everything. Even I saw a photo where it was showing like different red sauces like you'd use in spaghetti, and they had little cups filled with sugar. And I'm like, why do we need sugar in red
yeah,
sauce? Like, I always add my own herbs and spice, like hot sauce in a red sauce. Oh, it's so good where it's like a
yeah.
little spicy. And people are like, is there a spice? I'm like, yes. But the sugar is everywhere. It's
Yeah, and
crazy.
I've noticed that too because like for the past I don't even know a couple months I've been trying to stick to that whole keto diet thing, which past couple weeks have not been the greatest. But one of the things I saw was a recipe for like some sort of, I don't remember what it was, but it required a pasta sauce, and it was kind of make your own. It said just go get some crushed tomato pepper or crushed tomatoes, and it was very bland. I was like, this is very disappointing.
There's no sugar. Is that
Yeah.
why?
So I took about half a bottle of, I think it was Italian dressing, which I actually have three more bottles in my cabinet because I forgot that I bought it previously a few times. So I've got enough Italian seasoning. But so yeah, I took half a bottle and I just dumped it in there for a little flavor, add some garlic in it. But I've noticed that it's like all that sugar is really where the flavor, the I like this flavor or this pasta sauce better comes from. So right now it's just a matter of trying to perfect a healthier alternative.
Yeah. And I think for my business, what I plan to work on is just getting caught up with the editing. I got a lot like edited and scheduled, and I think I might have mentioned it as I get more like further out, where now I'm like, we're getting to April, like almost to April, and I'm like, that's crazy. But then I also get nervous of like the new people I talk to. I'm like, it'll be coming out mid-April, end of April. I'm like, to me, that sounds
We'll
so
get
far
you in
away. Like,
December.
so far, and I'm just like, but that's part of podcasting, and like for other podcasts that is normal. But seeing that like this month, I think February, it's just been like working in the business nonstop is like being disappointed of like I'm not moving forward, like I'm not getting to work on it to like push it forward where I felt like I had good momentum, and then it's just stopping because I'm like I'm doing good work, but it's just interview to interview to interview, which
Right.
I do enjoy. I love doing, and like that's a great part of it, especially if people now are watching. Like that is a great part of it, but it takes up a lot of time. So I'm trying to figure out, and I think it's more of like a mind shift of being like, it's okay. You're going to take these last 2 weeks of February and just like get through all of them, work hard, stay on top of like editing things so that you can look forward to March. Like once episodes start coming off and like I stopped the ad for getting new owners. So like the ad is only way I get people
Right.
essentially. So I'm like, good, we can slow down a bit because like I don't have the ad running. So as it goes, I think it will be like easier and easier to catch up and kind of get back to like, okay, we need to make money with this. Let's figure it out. Like figure that out. Move it
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
But any closing thoughts, encouragement to leave us with?
Well, I guess on your concept of getting over there, and making money on that. I mean, that's the biggest challenge of all these things. But I mean, as long as you do what you like, which from what I see from your stuff, unless you're editing it seems like you enjoy what you do. So um,
I'm a good
yeah.
actor. No. I do like it. I do like it, but I can also act too.
Right. Um, I mean, yeah, that's the challenge there is finding something that the audience likes. And I'm obviously not somebody to go to give advice on that because most of the stuff that we have at this point in time is, open to anybody. But um, I could be completely wrong with this, but I'd say just put something up there and, okay, now that that's up, let's make something else. Let's make something else. So really build that content and to draw the audience in. It's like, oh, okay, he's got like 40 million different things, for me to pick from. Cool. So,
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and I think
yeah.
the same with any service based is like it's gonna take a lot longer. And I was talking to someone earlier today where we're kind of agreeing of like, man, it takes a lot longer, but if you can get it to where it can make money, like monetization with a podcast, say, like
Yeah.
if you already love to talk and you already have people to talk to, if you get paid for that, amazing. It's just like when you're starting out, you're not going to get paid for that. Like you're putting in just as much work, just as much time. Like, and I mean, as you make money, you hire those things out. So like you're going to hire
Right.
an editor, you're going to hire a social media person, a marketing. So I think that's what's trickiest when you're starting is like, it's just taking forever. And like, even this week, my younger sister and her husband are like, putting in offers to get a house. And I'm like, I've been saving up for a house since I got out of college. I'm like, I'm not any closer. I'm not any closer to like one like making money if you want to look at it just from this week of what I was feeling, which I need to do so I can get married and have kids and do all of that. So I'm just like
Right.
frustrated of like it's too slow, but then knowing like that's okay. And I feel like God wants me on this path. And if you didn't know, Bill and I talked through Joshua on his podcast, so you can check that out. But a lot of it was talking like you have to take those steps forward first and know that God has a plan for you and is going to take you through it. And so when I was reading through that, I was like, is this what that is? Because such a like crushing blow of like, do I need to just get a job? Which I've been over. I'm like, Michael, we should not go back to that line of thinking because I know I'm like, I'm supposed to be here, but it is hard. And I know for listeners too, if you have a small business, you can probably feel that too. Or remember, I mean, hopefully you're out of that of like you got a steady customer base and you can make money, but it is tricky. But I think that's what's cool about these conversations as we close here is that like you can follow us now as we're like being very careful with our money, trying to make money, trying to
Right.
push things out to then one day, like I think we should always still be careful with our money, good stewards of what God
Yeah.
has given us. But it will be cool to see on the flip side in a couple, hopefully, let's say a couple weeks, couple months, but more likely a year or two
Yeah.
of like where has God taken us and where have we been able to grow with our own businesses. So thank you for tuning in and being with us, and thanks Bill for sharing with us as well.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
Yep, and we'll see you guys next week.